I arrived in Rome 1 week after the Synod had already been meeting. I was so excited to hear about what the conversations were, what was moved within the Synod Hall. And I had the opportunity for the next 2 weeks to hear or to meet and be in conversation with many of those that were in the Synod, cardinals and bishops and lay people. I was struck in how bold they were in talking about evangelization. It was clear to me that evangelization was the most important topic or task for the church to embrace today. There was a sense of urgency and a need to embrace it now, that we're to direct all the church's energies to this great task. But I asked the question, what do you actually mean by evangelization? And that's where the confusion or the lack of clarity exposed itself. And I know that I saw this confusion, but I hear that within the Synod there is a lot of confusion, a lot of struggle with talking about what really needed to be talked about, with more peripheral things. I even saw it in the presentations themselves, in the conversations that I had. Very quickly, when we talked about evangelization, they went into talking about catechesis or embracing the Second Vatican Council documents or liturgy or the sacraments. Many of them talked about the importance of embracing the church, saying yes to Humanae Vitae, or the importance of us supporting families and marriages. Others were talking about how evangelization means something so different to people in Asia, where they're dealing with a minority, or in the Middle East, where they're dealing with persecution, or Africa growth, Europe secularism. It just went on and on and on of the struggles. I know that I was frustrated, and I hear that within the Synod that they were frustrated with discussions. I know these are all important, but for me, I was saying, let's talk about evangelization. But I see that we need to talk about all these other issues to understand evangelization. But for me, it just didn't seem like there was any clarity, and there was really no hope in us really moving forward with evangelization. But it was in that, in the midst of that, there was two things that caught my attention. All the conversations and all the presentations that I was hearing. The first was that when we're talking about evangelization, it seemed to be agreed upon by all that there needs to be an initial proclamation of the gospel, which is extremely important. The second was, again, agreed upon by everyone, that when evangelization or this initial proclamation happens, what it is calling people into an encounter with Jesus Christ, a personal relationship. So what we're hearing from all the messages coming out of the Synod, it seemed to be a common agreement that there needed to be an initial proclamation of the gospel. And the second is that there needs to be a call to conversion, to an encounter with Jesus Christ. These are extremely significant, and we need to understand these two principles. They are essential. All these other issues are important. I realize they are important. They need to be discussed. But what really needs to be understood when we're talking about evangelization is this idea of initial proclamation and encounter with Jesus Christ. I hope to kind of deal with that more clearly in my second video. See you then.